Hello and welcome back to part 3 of this restoration and service of this Leonidas multi-date dress watch. So last episode we got the watch in the cleaning machine, so it's out the cleaning machine now. So I'll just show you. That's the dial and hands separate. Get rid of that. And this is the movement, all nice and clean. And also I've got a new setting lever because that was broken. So that's going in there. And also we have a new mainspring. I'll just put that to one side for now. And also I've managed to find and source a new screw for the date foot. So this one was here. And this one, if you can just see, is a new one. So I went through my scrap pot, mixture of old screws, dial foot screws, and there's one there, perfect match. So that's in place now. So this watch has been cleaned, it's all been separated. I have pegged the jewels and all the holes necessary, removed the balance, so the balance is there nice and safe. So the first job is to crack on with the fitting of the mainspring. So I'm going to get all that out now and we'll jump onto that. Okay, here we are with the barrel components. So you've got the barrel, the arbor, the lid, and the new mainspring. So if you remember from part 2, we actually closed the end shake on the lid. We pushed it down with a piece of pegwood like this. So we did that when we cleaned the watch, or just before, just to take up the end shake. It's just good practice to do that before you clean it, so you know it's ready. So the barrel has to be perfectly free, so you need to check that the arbor isn't going to be tight. So I'm just going to pop that in now and see if it lifts up freely and it doesn't lift up the barrel. So that's okay. I'm going to do the same with the lid. I'll just turn that round. You can see, I'll just lift that up. So that's nice and free. There's no friction there, so that's a good sign. If it was tight, you'd have to run a smoothing broach through this hole and through that hole as well, and just make sure it's free and check it again. So we're going to grease just a small amount on the barrel. Now the barrel walls don't need greasing because this is a manual wind mainspring. So we still need to apply a small amount of grease. And then I'm going to show you how I do that. So it doesn't need a lot. So we're just going to apply a small amount of grease. And that will just mean it just reduces the friction when the mainspring is working away. So let's pop the mainspring in. So we know the mainspring, well, the arbor goes in this way, down. So we know the eye of the mainspring needs to go the same way. So it's this way up. Place it on top. Just put your fingers down like that. And then just the back of your tweezers. Just slowly work it down. It's nice and smooth. Then with a nice sharp blade of your screwdriver, start working it down. And there you go. Did you hear that pop? Don't push too hard. You don't want to create any burrs or damage that mainspring. So we can safely remove the ring. and then we can just push down on the rest. The pegwood, just make sure it's down. There you go. Now it's time to fit the arbor. So the arbor needs greasing. So I'll do a long video or a dedicated video on mainsprings fitting to the barrels, automatic, manual winds, and just ways of greasing them, making sure they're nice and free. So I'll just grease this up now, and we're just using a general purpose automatic Right, I'm just going to grab the correct oil pot. Small amount of grease. See if you can see this on the camera. It's quite delicate, but there, just grab that light. That's all you need. This is the oil and grease pot I'm using. Various oils and greases. Again, I won't go too much into all the different oils that we use. I'll just cover that up. So let's line it up and fit it. So if the mainspring's correct, you shouldn't have to force it, push too hard. You just give it a turn. The mainspring will start to come down around the arbor, and that's it. So now we need to grease. Okay, so that's the other part of the arbor grease. So let's not forget to grease the top of the mainspring there before you put the lid on. So I just went and grabbed my grease again. So I'll just do that now. Don't need a lot. It just stops that mainspring grinding on the lid and also the base of the barrel. So which is there already greased. So now you can just see. Now it's time to fit the lid. So, which means I just got caught under there. Because the barrel lid has a step in, it's best to turn it over so the lid is compressed on the other side, so you're not pushing down on the raised part of the lid. So I'll just grab the closer. See, there you go. So the barrel's in there. So I'm just going to push down evenly, not too hard, just nice and gentle, and we should hear a click. There you go. So mainspring's in, the barrel is greased on the arbor and also around the mainspring, top and bottom. We need to check the end shake. So let's see if this is picked up on the camera. Not much end shake on there. Just want a fraction more. So what we'll do, because the lid's here, we'll just push down on the arbor and just deform that lid. Remember, we closed it, and this is why. So we can set the end shake ourselves to the correct amount. So let's check it again. Yeah, there's a tiny bit of end shake there. So that's the right amount. So it didn't have any, and I've just pushed that down, which pushes the lid down, and that's created the end shake. So Don't be fooled that this mainspring, arbor and barrel is correct to go in the watch. We need to check if it's free, and it's and this is a nice little trick what I'll show you now. So if you hold your arbor and get a screwdriver, and what you want to do, you just want to introduce it into the teeth and flick the barrel. And you can see here it's flicking back whichever way I'm pushing down on the teeth. It's flicking back. That means it's free. If it was to hold, then you've got an issue there. Either your end shake's not enough, or the hole for the arbor is too tight. So you'll have to take it all out and run a smoothing broach through. Put the lid back on, check the end shake again, and then do the same process. If you don't do this and you've got a tight barrel, you'll just lose all your amplitude. It has to be free, and this is the first job we're doing. So let's get it done right. So I'm happy with this now. This can go into the watch. So I'm going to grab the movement, and we're going to start on the other section of the watch, and then we can fit this. Okay, so here's the movement in its movement holder. I've just fitted the setting lever and setting lever screw, so it's loose, but I've just put it in place. It's a little bit awkward, and you can't really see when I'm doing it. It just looks a mess, so I've just put that in place. It's loose. So I'm going to show you the components that we're going to fit now. So the stem, the minute wheel, setting lever spring screw, the new setting lever spring. Oh, dropped it. The intermediate minute wheel winding wheel, turn bar spring, the return bar, winding pinion, and the sliding pinion. So these are all going to go onto the watch now. And that decides to roll. So, winding pinion. The back needs to be greased because it's acting in this location, and it will rub the base plate, creating wear. So it needs to be greased. You don't want the plate wearing out. Some vintage watches, this is all worn out, and once it's gone, they're really hard to save the movement. So let's grease that up now. So just using my general watch grease. So we just want 2 small marks on the back. That's it. Done. Then the teeth need doing. So instead of turning that over, we'll grease the teeth of the sliding pinion which it acts on. So some grease onto the teeth. Just small amounts, but it has to be there. Just spread that across. That's that greased. Then the stem. Let's grab that so we can see it. So this way it goes into the watch. This way it acts on the base plate. In the slot on the top of this bearing as well. And then the square. So one small amount, turn it. Another small amount, turn it. That's 3 sides. I'll just move it round to the 4th. Then you just spread it across. So that's all greased up now. You don't overload it, you just put some on there. You know you put it on. I can see that's on there even if the camera's not picked it up properly. But that is greased. So let's get it in place. So let's start with the stem. Just get it going into the hole. I'm just going to leave it loose like that. Turn it round. Pick up the winding pinion. Let's see if I can do this on camera. Introduce the winding pinion. Put it through. Next, the sliding pinion. Hold the stem. And there you go. First time. So let's just put the setting lever in the correct position over the stem. So first thing now is to turn that over and just secure that screw. And then you can pull on the stem and it won't pull out. So let's see if I can just do it like this by holding it. And there you go. So that's secure for now. Obviously you'll undo it later when you have to take the stem out to fit it into the case, but that's okay, that's secure. Make sure that's not fouling on anything. Nice and tight. So let's get the return bar and return bar spring in. So you just need to grease the post where the return bar sits, which is just here. Tiny amount. Always place it on the top side. Don't place it towards the bottom. You don't want the return bar being sluggish by having lots of grease running all underneath. That's all you need. Move the setting lever out of the way. Now, as you can see, the setting lever acts on the return bar here. So when this is under tension and the setting lever is moved, it acts on the spring bar. So you need to put some grease there. I'll just do that now. Just on that face, that's all you need. Just on that face here. Just along there. And that would transfer onto the setting lever on this face. If you've got a little bit more, you can just put some on. Now the return bar spring, a little tricky. It's a big spring this. So let's see if this goes into position without flying off. So the trick is just to get it down on one side and just see whichever easiest, or which is the easiest side to grab the spring, thus keeping the back section in place. Now that's in place, but I just want to push down and just make sure before I let go of my tweezers that it's down. Yep, that's down in place. I will not pull on the stem. I don't want to increase any tension on this spring bar. Sorry, the return bar and the spring before I put the setting lever spring on. So this is a new one. This had snapped. So let's put this on. And the screw. So just before I nip that up, you just got to make sure the setting lever, there's a pit what acts on the setting lever spring, so you just got to push that back now and it'll go around. You actually heard that click. Then I'll nip up the screw. Yep. So obviously there is a pit and 2 notches for winding mode, hand setting mode. Some have 3 if there's a quick change for the date. So this needs to be greased. So that notch is greased. Pull it out. Grease the next notch. There you go. So you can just see the action there. I'll just catch it in the light so you can see it. There you go. So that's perfect. That's nice and greased. It's not gritty. It's not rough. It's not too hard. When I put tension on there to pull it, it starts to move. So we have the minute wheel. And the intermediate driving wheel, setting wheel, whatever you want to call it. So this goes here. So these bearings need to be greased. I'll grease these now. So again, towards the top, don't put them on the bottom. Just grease that bearing. You don't want grease running underneath, so I'm greasing here on the side, top side of the post. If it runs along here, it just creates friction. It will lower your amplitude. So let's fit this now. There you can see both on. So this has a nice plate that goes over here. So I'm going to dig that out, get the screws and secure that in position. Okay, the minute wheel bridge is on. So just secures the minute wheel, the winding wheel, and it's just secured by 2 screws. There you can see. So that's done. Let's turn it over. So this is the other side. So what's going on next? So firstly, it's the center wheel with its own cock. So we've got a hole here that needs to be greased. So we can do that with on the wheel itself. So let me grab my grease on my oiler. I'll just grease that now. You just grease in the arbor. and then you need to grease the back one or the top one if you're looking down on it. That's all you need. I'll put a tiny bit more on there. Just double check. Yeah, that's nicely greased. So we can offer that up now. We'll get that into the hole. Let's tap it down. Then the cock. Just push down on the pegwood, just make sure it's in place. Check the wheels free. Yeah, that's nice. Won't check the end shake until I've screwed it down. Yep, that's a nice amount of end shake. That wheel is nice and free. I knew it had end shake because when I stripped the watch down, I checked. So if I wasn't to have it now, something's changed, we'll have an issue. So let's get the barrel in. So we've done the barrel. So it needs to be greased. So it's going in this hole. There's no jewels there. So a nice amount of grease on there. So let's do that now. You just slide it in under there because these teeth here on the barrel wall mesh with the center wheel. Can you see that? So let's grease the top bearing of the arbor. There we go. So now the barrel bridge. Here's the barrel bridge. I have already fitted the upper crown wheel, which is here, has a core. So core on, grease on the edge of the core like we did with the minute wheel, and a tiny amount just underneath because it does rub on the plate or the bridge. So you just want to put a bit of grease there and it's nice and free. And again, this is a reverse thread. So when you're doing any watches, just double check always the upper crown wheel. They normally are reverse thread, so don't go swinging on it because you'll strip it. So let's get this fitted now. In place, push it down with some pegwood. Don't push too hard with your tweezers, you don't want to mark the plates. These plates have already been marked. And then just turn your crown, just make sure it's in winding mode, and just make sure the 90-degree gearing here is meshed. So it's meshed, so I can push that down. Yep, I'm happy with that. Let's secure that up. So we need to check if the barrel is free. So we check the end shake. Make sure I grip that properly. Wants to slip off. It's a small amount of end shake there. Ideally you want it quite big, so it is limited there. There is some end shake and it is nice and free, so I think if there was a jewel I might just be tempted just to open that up a little bit, or if it was in a big hefty case with a screw down back and everything compresses, it might reduce that end shake. But it is a snapback, there is end shake there. As soon as I touch that, it is nice and free. So I'll continue at this stage. If I have an issue and I'm not happy with the amplitude, this is something you would go back and check. And what you would do, I'll just show you what you do if you did want to increase it. You'd actually push down on here and you would push out the base plate. But this base plate is quite thick, so you might have to take this off, put this on a stake, and then push down from the other side and just dome this bridge. So it's not the best thing to do, but that's the only way you'll increase the end shake. So that base plate is tight, so it is quite thick, so you're not going to get any joy from that. It would have to come from the barrel bridge. Well, there you go. So next stage is the fourth wheel and third wheel and the escapement, or the escape wheel, sorry. Now I have oiled, I'll just grab my oiler, the escape wheel cap jewel already, which is here, and you do it from the underside. So I run in some 9010 in there, then use a slightly different blade, a pointed blade, and it just poked the oil down and the capillary action dragged it through into a nice circle. I doubt we'll see this on the camera, but that's the process there. And the same with this side. This is here, the bottom of the escape wheel again. Oil in, it pulls, then you poke it through, the capillary action drags the oil down, and we know that bearing has been oiled. So third wheel. Now look, what mistake have I made there? I was a bit eager off camera to put this on. I'm going to have to take this off because I can't put that wheel in. I could probably force it through, but this goes to show you can't just rush things. So I'm going to back that off. So it's a reverse thread, so I'm going to go clockwise. I had a feeling it might have done that when I was putting it in, but I just continued. And I thought, well, if it does, I'll show you. So there you go. Fourth wheel. So this acts on this jewel here. So we're going to put some thin oil. I'm going to use a 9010. Just a small amount. You don't want it getting into the teeth. Again, it's so tiny the camera will never pick that up. But it's on that shaft just before the pinion. And now the escape wheel. And the bridge. So you have to be really delicate. You do not force anything down. So you just start pushing it down. Once you're near, what you can do is just try and level up the wheels, and it may just fall down in place on its own by the weight of the bridge. This escape wheel is quite unusual. So I'm just going to put a little bit of force on there. Want to rock a little bit, that's fine. That escape wheel has just gone to the side, so I'm just going to back that off. This is why you can never rush this. There you go. So I was right there just to back that off and have another go. Didn't force it down with the pegwood. You'll just break the pivot. There's no point rushing. So 2 screws. As you can see, that there is really thin, so my blade's not going in, so I'm just going to use a slightly smaller screw. I don't want to, there you go. It's quite a thin, the slot of that screw is thinner. Right, okay, so that's secured. That's nice and free. Look, if I just move the barrel there, just with my tweezers, look how free that is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to refit this upper crown wheel, fit the ratchet wheel, just run some oil there, then I'll get the pallets out and we'll take it to the next stage. So I'll get that done now. Okay, so the barrel ratchet is on. So look how free that train wheel, the train wheels are. So I've oiled the third wheel from behind. So we've just got to do these two now, which I'll just do. It's hard doing it for the camera. I'll try and be as neat as I can. I can see that's run off. Let's see if we can see that. So they're nicely oiled. So next is the pallets. So we've dipped the pallets already and the escape wheel in an epilam solution. That just helps hold the oil when you oil them. in place over the service period. So I'll drop these into position. And I'll get the pallet cock. Again, just let the weight of the cock just fall in place. Don't force anything. So I'm just going to move the pallets down. Again, very fiddly. Don't force anything. If you can see, I'll just use some pegwood now. I don't want to touch any part of the end of the pallets because that acts on the roller. So I'm not happy with that, the way the bridge isn't going down, and I know it's not the pallets that are getting in the way, so it could just be birds. So best practice, just take the pallets out, put the bridge back in place, and just see why it was tight, and push it back down. That is tight. That's not great. So you have an issue there. So you have to really make sure that the pivots are lined up before you push that down. But that is tight. That's not good. So I'm just going to back this off. Just over the ears, on and off. It's just burred the little feet underneath. I mean, there's quite a bit of force there. You don't want to go jabbing your screwdriver in too tight. You can scratch everything. And there's enough scratches on this watch already, so we don't want to add to them. So I'm just going to go from this side here and just rock it back. And just feel that tension there. And I'll just pop that off. So what I'll do, I'm going to have to get a closer inspection on that. Get them pallets in dead right, then push down. You're not going to free off these little feet on the bottom of this pallet cock into the hole. There you can see. So there's just a little bit of friction there, just more than I'd like. So I'm just going to address that. So I may have to run a smoothing broach down here and then put it back in place. So I'm going to look into that now and I'll pop the pallets in. Okay, the pallets are in. So I had to use a smoothing broach. I'll just show you. This is one. So it doesn't cut, it's not a cutting broach. I wouldn't want to cut the base plate, especially after I've cleaned it. So it just, this was the issue. The one here, the back of the screw, it was just so tight. So I just ran it down a couple of turns and it pushed on. So I have now oiled and greased the escapement teeth. I will do a dedicated video on how to do an escapement. I can't show you in this video, it won't show up. It's not the best watch to do a demonstration on. But basically I use a real thin grease and I actually use this part down here, the thinnest part of this grease. So this is for a low beat escapement, so 2100, 1800, and it not too much friction on this, but it is a grease, but it is a good escapement grease. So that's what I use on there. So let's get the balance in. I'll just grab the balance. So I've checked the escapement. I checked it as I stripped it down. I've oiled it. When I oiled it, it's all been checked. wants to go even without the shock setting in, which is a good sign. I'll just get this screw in. I'll pick that screw up again. Drop that down. Let's make sure it's all the way down. Now the shock setting. So we've got an upper and a lower. And the difference is the cap jewel is slightly higher or thicker, and this goes on the top. I don't know why they do it. I can't remember. I did look it up once, but the thicker one goes on the top. So I'm going to fit them now. So I'll just back off the shock spring. Like that. Close it. I've done that 1,000 times, so it does look easy. But just persist. Don't give up. It can be fiddly, but I've done it so many times now I can do it with my eyes closed. So I'll just fit the one on the dial side, then we'll get it on the timer machine. Once it's on the timer machine, we'll just have a look how it's performing, and that will be the end of this video. So I'll do that now, and we'll get out the watch timer machine. Okay, so I've just demagnetized the movement. So let's get this on the timer machine now and check the beat error and the amplitude. So the lift angle on this movement's 50. So here we can see the beat error is 0.7. The amplitude is, well, 320, that is really high. I did not expect the watch to be this high. I know the movement is free. It's nice and clean. The barrel is all nice and free, and there's not much wear, but 320 amplitude is really high. That will drop as you fit the cannon pinion or the functionality of the multi-date. That will create friction and thus lowering the amplitude. So around 320 to start is superb, so I'm more than happy. The beat error 0.7. If the watch had an adjustable beat arm, I'd get that down to about 0.1, but because this doesn't, it means removing the balance from the movement and adjusting the hairspring collet on the balance staff. You would probably move it and make it worse. So 0.7 is fine. The hairspring has been knocked and messed around with. It is as flat as I can get it. It's breathing good, quite even, and it's in between the pins, so I know that's good. There is a wobble and a dance on the hairspring, but that's because the beat error has been adjusted and people have slipped into the hairspring, but it's not too bad where it's going to affect the watch. The timekeeping, yep, minus 60. That's just a slight adjustment. I'm not going to worry about that now. I'll just move that on. But it's just to check the watch is running, the amplitude, the beat error, and just how it's performing. And yeah, this is fantastic. So this is where I'll leave this video now. So if there's anything that you'd like to see again, let us know. If you do like it, give us a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, you know what to do. And yeah, I'll see you in part 4. We'll get this watch all finished.